So if I think about what we've been focused on over the last couple of years, look, the reality is, since, and you all know this, right? Since iFIX 5.5, which is what, 8 years ago, I don't even know exactly the year it came out, right? iFIX kind of got bogged down, got a little slower, right? So we've been very focused on performance and made good progress there in terms of performance and scalability, and you're going to see some new things in terms of really driving scale as we get out of this year. We've added in machine learning based alarm intelligence. We've improved the graphics screen. You know, we've handled alarm floods and added in ISA 18.2 alarm management, right? So that's kind of what we've been working on. But as I get into 2026, we also heard you tell us, hey, you know, at a portfolio level, your investments in a single configuration portal and a unified user identity management platform, that works good for a plant that's got 10 servers in it or 5 servers in it. It was too heavy. It was too hard to use for the 1 or 2 iFIX server applications. And so you're going to see some very exciting things today, I hope exciting to you, or exciting to me, about how we've dramatically simplified the install, how we've reduced and continue to deliver a new modernized experience around configuration, but at a much lighter weight. Okay? And so the first demo that Rasmus is going to do is really going to be focused on iFIX 2026. So you'll see this happening naturally, right? We've added, and we'll go through some of these, right? We've added Python, and we've heard loud and clear, hey, I can't hire a kid coming out of school that knows VB script. Like, so we've enabled you to do, we've enabled Python as part of our modernization journey. You know, we had a legacy Chromium. If you're using any web-based content within iFIX, you know, you may know Microsoft abandoned the tool that we were using, and so we've acquired some technology and built a new Chromium tool, and then we've integrated some things on alarming, which you'll see here. So the faster time to solution, this to us is like, this is a great example of us actually listening to you, our customers, right? Where we've built now a new, instead of forcing the installation of Configuration Hub and UAA, and that it was a construct that was heavy, we've built that capability, but built it in a lightweight way, which we call iFIX Studio. We've also started embedding videos right into the tool so that you're not searching for documentation. You can click on a video and see you can see being walked through how things are done. So we're trying to take a much more modern approach to how do we help you get the product installed, get it configured. We just did a big licensing simplification. I'll call it a workout, Kaizen, but I'll just use the word workout. And we're looking at, with the next release, can we actually just keep you from even having to go to the license client to configure the license? Why can't we just do that as part of the installer? So we're really focused on how do we make this part of the journey simpler, but keep it modern, right? And we don't need to see the demo here, right? And so, you know, building in those demos, giving you project history, giving you iFIX information that tell you about the project. Like, so the things that you needed, you've had to search for, like how do we use the web-based tools to kind of put it at your fingertips to understand what you've got, the version of the project that you're working on, and just making it much simpler to interact and get going. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but we know that it took you a lot of time, and we've taken that, we've sort of removed that effectively wasted time. You know, so we do maintain Configuration Hub for those customers that have a historian, have a number of iFIX servers, and you want centralized management of that and the licenses associated with them. Actually, as part of the investment in terms of bringing the products together, right? If you're a larger Kepware customer, not IGS, but a Kepware customer, you might have had Kepware Plus, which is their kind of management plane across multiple Kepware servers. That was a hosted solution. There was no on-prem solution. We're going to build a Configuration Hub plugin for Kepware, right? So that customers will have a consistent experience across all of their Velodic applications from a configuration perspective. So Configuration Hub continues to exist to serve the larger, more complicated customers, and iFIX Studio now exists for the small single or maybe you got 1 or 2 SCADA nodes. New sample system, so much more modern look and feel, new code that's ready for use, new dynamos. So again, how do we help you build applications faster, but applications also that are looking more modern than what existed before? Well, let me go back for a moment here, right? We have UX people in our organization. You may or may not, right? I think about when I got started 40 years ago in HMI SCADA, right? I drew the demo screens. We had customers, they're just a controls engineer. They drew a layout of their plant floor. They put all kinds of data and stuff on screens, not really understanding, what we now call, right, high performance user interface, which is really how do you design user interfaces. And I'll do a few slides on that in the later section, because there's really an art and a science to building screens that actually convey the information that an operator needs, right? But part of this is like, how do we bring the attention to the operator of data they need? If it's in blue, they don't really need to look at it. If it gets yellow or red, right, that's where they have to start looking. They don't necessarily need to see the number as much as the color, and then bring their attention to then dig in. So simplification. Now performance, right? So we've spent a lot of time. We did a SIM on top of iFIX 2024. That SIM, his capability is brought into iFIX 2026 as part of the main line, right? And huge improvement in terms of, it's kind of hard to read in that chart, right? But huge improvement in terms of performance, both in terms of data flowing through the system, through alarming and alarm failover when you've got large numbers of alarm and redundant nodes. So you think about from this to this, like that's been our focus. How do we take where we have performance problems, how do we make this the most performant? So what I can stand here in front of you and say, right, iFIX 2026 is the most performant version of iFIX ever, right? So those of you that had 5.5 and then saw performance slowly degrade, right, we're back to high performance. And you'll see some more things on scalability a bit later in the deck. So easy to adopt and integrate and modern concepts. So Python, right? Whether it's kids coming out of school, whether it's you and your people that have picked up Python, or whether it's you're using Gen AI tools to write Python script, right? Python, it's now our perspective is it's the sort of standard language to be used in these type of applications. We have Python calculation collector and historian. We've got Python in iFIX. We've got Python support in the MES platform now. Like that is our standard for effectively scripting and calculations across the Proficy portfolio. This is the legacy browser control. So if you want to be embedding capability, for example, the Operations Hub trend client in an iFIX screen, right, which is a web-based application, right? We now have a Chromium control that's a native part of iFIX that allows you to do that. So if you haven't used Operations Hub, so it's our kind of common web-based user experience across the entire Proficy portfolio. We spent a lot of time investing in the trend analysis capability in Operations Hub, but if you're using iFIX, like you didn't necessarily have a way of using it. But you have the ability, if you've bought Historian, you get a free version of Operations Hub that has the trend client built in. You could be using this very rich trend analysis capability and embed it in your iFIX screen. Okay? So again, how do we build something once that's world class and let you use it across different applications?